Welcome to Be Nice to Yourself podcast that will give you practical tools to finally be nice to yourself so you can stop yelling at your kids and enjoy being a mom. Using coaching and lots of love, I'm your Russian Canadian host, certified life coach, and mom of four, Natalia Schneidmiller. Hey guys, how are you? I am so good. I have one example for you today of other people's opinions and how they affect you. Okay. So, the only way the other people's opinions can ever affect you is if you think the same thing that they are thinking in your head. And if you agree with them, then that will generate a feeling for you. Okay. So, when my 7-year-old son, told me at bedtime, he said, "Oh, Mama, you're always working. You're never with us." Okay. I could have responded in many different ways. Okay. But because I've done so much work on my own thoughts and my own problem with me, working and not being with my kids, and I was aware that this is a thing that comes up for me. I feel guilty sometimes that I am not with them when I'm working. And so it's kind of like an old friend of mine that shows up all the time and says, "Hey, you're not working, you're working, you're not with the kids." And when I think that thought, "Oh no, I'm not with them," I feel guilty. I feel bad. I feel like I'm missing out, right? So, because I've done so much work on that in myself, I had such a different reaction to when my son said that. Okay. In that moment, I did not feel guilty. Because I've done so much work, I saw it for what it is. And all it is just my thought, right? If I believe what he's saying, "Oh no, I'm never with him," then I would feel guilty, right? But I didn't. What that allowed me to do, being aware of my own thoughts, that allowed me to uh, let him keep his opinion and see that his opinion has everything to do with him and has nothing to do with me and what I do and how much time I spend with him. Okay, this might be a stretch for you because we are all so conditioned to believe that we can make other people happy or we can make other people unhappy. That is not true. So here, let's keep going with this example, right? What made my son say that was not the fact that I don't spend time with him. It was just a thought in his head in that moment that came up for him. And he probably, here's how I explained it in my head. Like whatever's going on for him in his head is my guess, right? I don't know. But he probably had a thought like, "Oh, I miss my mama. I love mama. I want her to stay here longer at bedtime." And how do I do that is I tell her, "Mama, you never spend time with me." Right? And so my mom would be like, "Oh, sorry, I'm going to stay with you longer," right? He's trying to fill his need because he feels not fulfilled, right? He feels like he wants more time with his mama, right? And this is his model, right? The model is the tool that we use where he has a thought, then he has a feeling coming from that thought, and then from that feeling, he says something, right? So whatever drove him to say that to me is all about him, right? It has nothing to do with me and how I'm behaving. Because here's how we know that's true. So many other times where I have done exactly the same thing that I do every week and every day. I would work, I would take them for a bike ride, feed them breakfast, feed them lunch, feed them dinner, like, right, parent. And he would not say that, right? Why is that? It's simply because he wouldn't have that thought, right? Why does he have that thought? That's a different topic of, well, our brain thinks thoughts all the time, right? Why does it think them? It's wired to think. That's like a software that we're born with, and it is wired to think in terms of for survival, right? It helps us keep us alive. It wants to conserve energy. It wants to seek pleasure and avoid pain, right? So, of course, that's like what our primitive brain always feeds us, is how do we feel good, how do we avoid pain, and how do we not do anything to get those two things, right? So that's just what our brains, they feed us default thoughts all the time based on our past experiences, based on like what we've learned. um, and this is just what we do with those thoughts is what will make a difference how we experience life, right? So that is that's what I want to offer you today, is that when other people give you their opinion, and what is their opinion is simply a thought that they're thinking in their head, and then they say it out loud, right? And it's not fact. The way we know that it is not fact is because if it was fact, everyone would agree on that being a fact, on it being true. For example, I have kids. We can all agree, right? We can all agree that my son is 7 years old, right? The facts of the situations are this boy is saying words, right? He's 7 years old. He is in bed, right? Another fact is I have a job and I am also a mom of four, right? These are all facts. Now, what we think about those facts are our opinions, and everyone will have a different opinion. And people tell me their opinions about that all the time. Oh, wow, you must be busy with so many boys. Oh, wow, that's amazing. You're a hero. Or, oh, that must be crazy noisy in your house, right? And other people, some people, might judge me for having a job. Other people might admire me for working full time and having four kids, right? And my son sometimes has different opinions about that same fact. Some days he thinks it's funny when he listens to my podcast song and they dance and they think it's funny. But other days he might say, "Oh, Mama, you work too much," right? So I really want you to study your own reactions to people's opinions. And if you feel triggered by what they're saying, that is an amazing indicator that you are believing what it is that they're saying. So it's not about them, right? It's like you almost like you adopt what they're saying into your brain and you decide to believe what they're saying. But then you blame it on them for making you feel terrible if you believe something terrible, right? But what I want to suggest is no, there's always that decision in between. There's what they say, and then there's your brain. And you can either decide to believe what they're saying, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. It's just I want you to have more awareness and control of the fact that you are actually doing that. You are deciding to adopt what they're saying. Right? There's always a conscious, sometimes unconscious decision, right? We have to bring awareness to it in order for us to change what it is that we're thinking and believing. And what giving people their opinions back and letting them own them and recognizing that that is just what it is their opinion. It has nothing to do with you. It's everything to do with them. Allows you to be in such a loving, compassionate, curious space with them when, for example, if they say something to you like, "Oh, you don't love me," and for a fact you do love them, then you could be curious. So, wow, I wonder why they would say that. Let me find out. Tell me more. Why do you think that? I'm so sorry you feel that way. Let's talk about it. I want to know everything. Tell me all of your thoughts, right? And it's not true. I do love you. Let's talk about it, right? And so that allows you to be in such a loving space with them and be there for them instead of getting offended. How could you think of that like that about me? I do so much for you and I can't believe you don't see it and you're so unappreciative. And so you feel defensive and then you go on an attack and you start attacking them, right? That could be, sometimes it is true with the kids, right? Where we feel like all they do is take and they don't appreciate what we do. And so we feel resentful, like they don't even appreciate what I'm doing because you're not getting the reaction you want, right? And if they say something like you don't spend enough time with me, you could be like, what the hell? I already do so much for you. I can't believe you would say that, right? So you take it personally, like, oh my gosh, it must be true. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not doing enough. versus, oh no, let's stop for a second and think. What is the truth here? The truth is only what they believe that's true for them, and for you, what do you believe that's true for you, right? So I that's why I love calling all the people in my life and everyone's life as teachers, right? So because so often we're surrounded by people who do trigger us a lot, and we are forced to overcome those lessons of what it is that we're triggered by, right? Like guilt about not being with the kids, right? I had to be exposed to that guilt so many times in order for me to process it and again and again and again and deal with it, and so that, it no longer is triggering me, right? And the same thing with everyone else in our life, our bosses, our parents, our husbands. They all bring up all these thoughts that we already believe about ourselves, right? That they tell us what their opinion is, and then we also believe it in our head, and then we feel all sorts of emotions, could be upset, anger, resentment, whatever, right? But because they're coming, like they're being said to us out loud from the other person, we think that the other person is causing us to feel a certain way, and that's never true. It's only if we agree with what they're saying, then that's a problem. Okay? I love you so much, guys. And I wanted to invite you to my masterclass that I am hosting this Friday, July 24th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Again, July 24th Eastern Time. And I am hosting it on how to connect with your child and to stop snapping at them and really create that amazing relationship that you've always wanted. This is going to be a masterclass on your relationship with your kid. I really encourage you to come. I'm going to give you all of the things you need to know and to do to get that. So if you want to sign up, you can simply go to my Instagram and message me there, which is you can find me under coaching_Natalia, or you can email me at natalia@coachingnatalia.com. Simply email me, say, hey, I'm in, I want to be in that class. And don't worry if you missed that class, I'm also hosting another one next week, so I will keep you updated for that. And if you have more questions about how to manage other people's opinions, I want you to just message me and ask me. Otherwise, have a beautiful day and let other people's opinions be theirs. They have nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. Love you. Bye.